Hey guys, welcome back to Bombchu. I'm Austin, and today I'll be looking at the Humble Monthly Bundle from February 2019. There's co-op games to play with your Valentine, and plenty of single player to keep you warm if that's your situation this year. Either way, let's dive in. After Hours is an FMV game. It follows a woman named Lilith who was molested as a child and suffers from borderline personality disorder. It's extremely short and largely consists of watching Lilith react to a few things. You're given control over a few dialogue choices and allowed to look at a few things around Lilith's room, but choice is largely an illusion, as if you try to make a well-balanced decision, it can be followed by a decision tree with two of the same angry choice. The sound design is weird, the visuals are weird, the interactivity is minimal, and there's not a whole lot that happens. Whoever made this game likely had a specific vision in mind, and I hope they accomplished what they set out to make. I'm down for weird art house games, but what they made has a very specific audience in mind, and I'm just not part of that audience. I imagine most people subscribed to Humble Monthly will be in the same boat as me. Rapture Rejects is an early access battle royale game set in the universe of cyanide and happiness. The rapture has finally happened, and unfortunately, you didn't make the cut. Never fear though, there's one last way in, and that's by murdering all your fellow rejects. Up to 50 players drop into an isometric map and start scavenging for supplies. Dying at this point doesn't matter too much outside of losing your supplies, but once someone finds the golden ticket, the game really begins. A fiery hell circle starts closing in, and now once you die, you're dead. And if you're unlucky enough to have the golden ticket, everyone knows where you are. Your goal is to be the last person standing with a golden ticket to heaven. As far as mechanics go, the game works surprisingly well as a battle royale game, despite the isometric camera. You can't see inside buildings unless you peek through doors or windows. Aiming with a sniper rifle zooms out the camera so you can see much further around you. And even stuff that has nothing to do with the camera is pretty nice, like not having to deal with an inventory screen. The game also has some great humor, and I'd expect nothing less from Cyanide and Happiness. Unfortunately, I can't recommend this game. Even with this coming in this month's bundle, it took me quite a while to find a match, and it only had 7 people in it. My next match came a little quicker, but it only had 11 players. With such a tiny player base, it sucks some of the fun out of the Battle Royale formula. Oh, and if you're into costumes and cosmetics, prepare for an insane grind or to drop some cash, because the outfits cost a ton of premium tickets, and when I actually won a match as the last player standing, I didn't get very many. This game is still in early access, so the tickets aren't hard to tweak, but it may take a miracle to pump up the player base to where it needs to be for 50-player matches to become a regular occurrence. Sniper Elite 3. It's the third Sniper Elite. We've now gotten every single game in the Sniper Elite series from Humble Monthly, and for whatever reason they started off by giving us the newest one first. Sniper Elite 3 is basically Sniper Elite 2, with some of the features and gameplay feel of Sniper Elite 4. 4 just has a bit more polish and nailed the controls. One system in 3 that I don't recall being in any of the others is the heart rate system. If you want to hold your breath to steady your aim, your heart rate must be below 80 so that you can be calm enough to aim. I didn't really love this system, but it did add a little realism, I suppose. One of the things that was hard for me to get used to was that several buttons had to be held down to perform an action. Like you have to hold down the back button to open the map, or hold the right thumbstick to bring up binoculars. A lot of this was fixed in Sniper Elite 4, and I still feel that's the best game in the series to play. But hey, if you really need some more Sniper Elite in your life, here it is. Rock of Ages 2 is an action, strategy, tower defense, racing platformer? Best if I just explain the gameplay. You challenge historical leaders to battles where you roll giant boulders into each other's castles. You fully control the boulder and have to follow tight paths, avoid damage from obstacles placed by your opponent, and build up speed to slam into their door. They'll be doing the same to you, and between rolling rocks, you can place your own obstacles on the map for your opponent to deal with. First one to smash their enemy's leader wins. It's not exactly my style of game, but I know there are many who will enjoy it. and I can't deny the Monty Python-style humor between matches had me in stitches. These next two games I covered at the end of last month's review. If you've already seen my look at Yakuza 0 and The Division, you may want to skip ahead. Timestamps for each game are listed down below. The Division. Think Destiny, but not as fun. You run long distances, shoot bullet-sponge enemies, and get uninteresting gear with small stat changes. That's The Division. As you level up, instead of feeling more powerful, you just take longer to kill relevant enemies, and they kill you quicker than before. There's the Dark Zone, where you can find some nice loot or kill other players and steal their nice loot, placing a big target on your back for other players to kill you without penalty. Sounds cool. Unfortunately, the game was built at its core for cheaters to prosper, with not much that Ubisoft can do about it. Oh yeah, and Ubisoft made this game, so I hope you like Uplay codes. The Division is irrelevant at this point. The game failed hard at what it tried to do, and most of the player base has already abandoned it. This is here strictly to advertise the upcoming sequel, for which I feel absolutely no excitement. Yakuza 0 is the prequel to Yakuza, the spiritual successor to Shenmue. Where do I even begin? This game takes place in 1980s Japan. You go from beating up thugs, doing flashy as hell moves like picking up a salt shaker and pouring it in someone's eyes, to having a deep conversation about the intricacies of daily life as a member of the Japanese mafia, to singing karaoke, and that barely scratches the surface. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. You earn money, which you can literally invest in yourself to learn new skills, and there's tons of in-game achievements that give you points you can use to get perks like sprinting further distances. Does combat feel a bit stiff? Yeah. Are the visuals perfect? No. Which figures, considering it was originally a PS3 and PS4 game. But hot damn, it's flashy, it's fun, it's over the top, and this is the best version of the game to play. I can't wait to play more, and for more of the series to make its way to the PC. Full Metal Furies, not to be confused with Full Metal Furries, is a co-op action RPG with an emphasis on action. I played this one solo, but it's so co-op focused you have to pick a partner even if you're playing by yourself. You have a regular attack and a few abilities that have cooldowns. What's great is you can cancel out of one ability into another to do cool combos or protect yourself from damage. You can also swap to your partner at any time, which comes in handy since some enemies can only be damaged by certain characters. Along the way, you'll earn money and trophies. Money can be used to unlock equipment or character upgrades, and trophies enhance your upgrade options, such as adding masteries to your equipment, which lets you grow your stats just by using your equipment more. It gets hard pretty quick and has a high skill ceiling, so if you get pretty good, you can pull off some really flashy combos. This one is fun, and definitely one I'd like to try in co-op. Aaero is an action rhythm game. You fly in a spaceship and you have to dodge obstacles, shoot enemies, and glide on ribbons to the beat of excellent EDM. Controls are tight, the music is great, and the aesthetics are very pleasing to look at. I don't really know what else to say. It's a pretty simple game to learn, though the levels do scale up the difficulty pretty quick, but not so much that it becomes unmanageable. This game also requires a controller to play, so if you normally stick to keyboard and mouse, you may not be too happy. Personally, I love this one, and I can't wait to play more. Bleed 2 is an over-the-top shoot-'em-up action platformer. You play as Rin, and you are equipped with a machine gun and a katana. You have air dodges and time-slowing abilities. You shoot enemies and deflect pink stuff with your katana, and if you forget any of the tools in your arsenal, you're gonna get hit. But lord, when you take advantage of everything you have, it's like art. Beautiful, deadly art. Thankfully, if you're like me and you can't remember everything that you have most of the time, the checkpoints are extremely forgiving. The action is fast-paced, the katana and air dodges are extremely satisfying when used correctly, and I really adore this game, much like I did the original. I can't wait to play more. Super Daryl Deluxe. Whew, this is a kooky action RPG that I haven't really wrapped my head around yet. You start off playing as a detective in a really combat-heavy segment that goes on a bit too long, followed by a lengthy cutscene involving two school kids who make a plan for a self-help book, to suddenly being in high school. This is where the game seems to really begin, as you start doing quests and actually need to figure out how to get from place to place. As you interact with and help others, you'll increase your social level and learn social skills, such as discuss differences, which of course allows you to punch out your enemies. This one is really out there, and I'd like to get some more time with the actual game now that I've finally reached it. If you're curious, get past the first chunk and know that the game will change heavily. So overall, how was this bundle? I'll go ahead and say that this was worth it for Yakuza alone, but thankfully there were some other great games here as well, like Aaero and Bleed 2. This was one of the weirdest Humble originals in a while, but at the very least, the game isn't completely bugged like A to B was. We now have all the Sniper Elite games, so that's a thing. I have a feeling Sniper Elite 5 is going to be announced just around the corner or something. So how much bang for your buck was there? Buying all these at full price would cost about $215, while getting all these at their lowest sale price would cost about $67. Overall, I'd say this was a good bundle. Not everything was a winner, but as low as the lows were, the highs were pretty darn high. Next month's bundle includes Earth Defense Force 4.1, Warhammer Vermintide 2, and Cultist Simulator. Let's take a sneak peek. Earth Defense Force 4.1 looks and feels like a generic Japanese sci-fi shooter from the mid-2000s, and that comes with good and bad. The menus and graphics take me back to a simpler time, and while they are really crude for 2019, they certainly fill me with a certain nostalgia. On the other hand, the game is filled with citizens under attack, and they all use a handful of voice samples, which are spammed constantly. Back on the good side, look at this flashy stuff you can do. Spectacular. On the bad side, I almost didn't find this because the default class you play as has boring guns, a slow run, and a small jump/dodge move. On the good side, this game has co-op, and I've heard co-op really makes the game, so I'd like to try it with a buddy soon if I can. On the bad side, as far as I got in the single player, I haven't seen a monster other than these ants, and I legitimately don't know if these are all you fight in the whole game. I have to spend some more time with this one, but it's got insanely high reviews on Steam, so I think I may have missed something in my short time with it so far. Warhammer Vermintide 2 is Left 4 Dead, except the zombies are rats. You and 3 other heroes, travel through maps to complete objectives and make it out alive, fighting angry rats along the way. You need to stick together or you'll get swarmed and picked off by special rats. Like me. Thanks for the help, team. Unlike Left 4 Dead, Vermintide has a much bigger focus on melee combat, with ranged weapons being secondary. You'll also earn levels and loot when you complete stages, so you can upgrade your character to be more effective in future playthroughs. This adds some great replay value beyond the already great gameplay loop of Left 4 Dead. It's co-op, it's action, you kill zombie rats and get stronger. It's fun. I really like it. Cultist Simulator is some kind of card game. You get cards, and you get events to use cards on. Certain cards can only be used on certain events, and the cards you choose to use will give you new cards, and sometimes new events. And a lot of it is time-based, and before long so much is happening at once and you need to work to get money, which takes a toll on your health, and then you're sick, and if you don't have health cards you die, and where do I get health cards again? And what does this do? And oh my gosh, I have no idea what's going on or what the goal is. I don't understand this game. I'm sorry guys. If it piques your interest, give it a try. I'm just so confused. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're looking to see more of me or more of some of these games, I've started streaming a couple of times a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. Up until this weekend, I've been streaming here on YouTube, but I think it's time to get a big boy stream and I'm moving on to Twitch. Consider following. There's a link down below. We'd also love for you to join us on Discord, where we have a small but growing community. There's a link to that in the description as well. See you next month.